Hey guys, Mel the Train Tutor here again with another tutorial for you. And in this tutorial, what we're going to be talking about, what we're going to be looking at is washes. Now, right in front of me, I've got a few standard sort of washes. Now, straight away, we've got the Citadel ones, which are awesome for models. Yeah, and then we've got the Specialist Model Mates ones, which are absolutely brilliant. But they're really good for models. They're really good for adding little touches to your pieces. But if you want to put wash over an entire mountain or a set of hills, this is going to be a problem, okay, because this is going to get very expensive very quickly. So what you need to do is start looking at making your own washes up. Now, there's already recipes out there. Les has done one on Awesome Paint Job for making washes, and very quickly talk about that and talk about washes in general. So what is a wash? Well, basically a wash is quite simply very watered down dilute paint, yeah, which has been added to artist's flow medium. So what's flow medium? Now, flow medium is a liquid that artists use, and it's got two main properties. Okay, one, it's got a flow aid in it, which reduces the surface tension and allows the paint to flow better into the creases, etc. Yeah, and the other thing is it's got a drying retardant in, so it means that you can put thin layers down and work with them more, yeah, look for longer before they dry. Now, when it comes to terrain building, that drying retardant is actually a disadvantage to us, because what we don't want is pools of wash sitting on top of rocks that have been glued down with PVA, and that wash reactivating the PVA and the rocks becoming looser. So what we're really interested in when it comes to terrain is the flow medium of it, and for that we've got this. Yeah, simple detergent. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly take you through how I make what's got terrain washes, and it's dead simple, yeah. But what I want to do is sort of take you through how I test them, and because the challenge is when you're using these sort of paints, you can't go by exact recipes. You've got to look at the wash and be able to judge it. Okay, and because of that, yeah, I think the best thing to do would be take you along on the process rather than saying you add this much of this much of this. So starting off, yeah, what I want is I want a dark brown wash. Okay, so I've got a little plastic tub there. First thing I'm going to use is some burnt umber. Yeah, standard artist's acrylic. Let me move these out of the way because we don't need those now. Yeah, and all acrylics, they vary, okay, depending on the pigment count, who makes them, which is why I can't say you add so much of this, so much of that. Yeah, so give that a squeeze. And I put about that much in. Yeah. Okay, and then what we want is, I want to add probably about half again of black. So here's our black. Now, one of the reasons that I'm doing it this way and I'm not using flow medium is because flow medium in the UK costs about £8 for a quarter of a litre. Yeah, which is quite, it's not cheap. Yeah, obviously, if you're making washes for your models and that sort of stuff, do it the proper way. Use flow medium. Okay, there are a few. I don't really notice the difference on terrain, but you would notice the difference in using this method, yeah, on your models. Yeah, so don't use this for your models. Use flow medium, but for making terrain, it's perfectly fine. Yeah, so a little bit more. Yeah, so there you are. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add water. Now, it's recommended that you use distilled water when you're making your model washes. Okay. Now, all distilled water it's pure water. You can buy it from any petrol station for a litre for £1 or £2. It's used in car maintenance for maintaining batteries, so it's readily available. But for terrain washes, yeah, you don't need to be that concerned. I'm using what's for tap water here. Yeah, so throw that in. If I'm sounding a little bit gruffy, guys, I'm just coming off the back of a cold. Yeah, so what I've done is I've poured in enough just to cover the tip of the paint, which is a good starting point. Get myself a cheap stirrer. Yeah, and all I'm going to do is break it up. Now, it should be said that with acrylic pigments, when you water them down, yeah, they have a habit of separating very quickly. Okay, and this is because the pigments have different densities, and so the darker the pigment, the quicker it will sit to the floor. it will sink to the bottom, and you'll get a light brown at the top and a dark layer at the bottom. And so you've got to be aware of that. You've got to make sure you keep stirring these things, you know, when you're using them, and keep the pigments mixed. So I quite like that. Now you notice it's gone a little light. That's perfectly normal. That's just where the pigments are separating. Now what I'm trying to do here, okay, is very simply, before I put my flow aid in, I just want to get the right thickness. Okay, and what I'm doing is, and you'll probably see it better from this side, but if I tilt it up, yeah, then I tilt it back. Do you see that? Yeah, literally as it's sinking back down. That's what the wash is going to look like when it's actually on a model. Yeah, so at the minute, way too dark. Okay, so I'm going to add a bit more water. Yeah, and give it a stir. And I don't want this a full-bodied wash. I want this quite a thin wash. Yeah. So try it again. It's getting there. A little bit thinner, I think. Now, right now, all we've got is the watered down paint. This isn't a wash yet. And the reason being is because we haven't added our flow agent. Yeah, but it's starting to get the right thickness. Yeah, i.e. it's quite translucent, but there's a hint of the darkness there. So what we'll do is we'll grab this. Yeah, now if you've not seen this before, yeah, it's a piece I use for testing. I used it for one of the foam board quick build tutorials. Okay, but it's a good test piece to sort of show you how this stuff goes down on the model. So let me find a brush. I've found a brush. I'll give it a quick wash out. Okay, so remember, this is without the flow aid. So let's put it in without the flow aid so you can see how it goes down. And then we'll put it on with the flow aid and you can see the difference it makes. Okay, so here's my wash. And as you can see, the water is the water's carried the pigment off the very top of the rocks, but it's sort of sitting in the recesses. Now, oh, don't want to wash it in there, that's my clean water. So, although it's watered down, it's just the general watered downness that's carried it off the rocks. We need it to flow a lot better than this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the detergent now so you can see the difference. Now, when it comes to adding the detergent, yeah, all I want... oh, sorry, guys. Oh, bloody colds. Is 1 drop. Because this stuff is concentrated. I think I got 1.5 then. We'll live. Everything's going to be fine. Now, once you've added your detergent, remember this stuff, it makes bubbles. So don't stir it too quickly or vigorously, and don't shake it. Yeah, because you can't put a wash on with bubbles on it. And I'll show you why later, but just give it a general stir. Get that flow aid mixed in. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, now this is with the flow aid in. Okay, so if we go here, there you go. Now, can you tell the difference? I can, but I'm wondering if you can. Do you see how that's flowing far better? Okay, and it's pooling in the resources rather than just sitting flat. So areas like here and here and here, areas here, it's actually pooling. Okay, whereas with this one, it went down as just an even coat. So there's no concentration in the darker areas. Yeah, it's just a simple coat, whereas this is starting to add shadow. So let's see if we can give you a better example of that. Yeah, let's move to something where we've got some corners for it to cling into. So if I do this bit here, right, just give me a second and I'll lift my camera up just a bit. Yeah, so you can see that. Quick refocus. Sorry guys. There we go. Right, hopefully that's nice and in focus now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this wash straight down this corner and over these rocks so you can see how it goes. And to be truthful, I should be using a bigger brush for this, but this will do. I know I'm working upside down, but right, let's see what we can see. Right, do you see that, guys? Yeah. Do you see how it's naturally pooling into the recesses? Let me move my head out of the way. Yeah? And that's all there is to it. Yeah, just a little bit of flow aid in there. Okay, and it will naturally cling to any of the rocks. Let me switch it onto autofocus so I can bring it nice and close for you. Right, focus you. Let me try that one. Yeah, go on nice and flat. There you are. You can focus against that, surely. There we go. Right, do you see how it's clinging around those rocks? Yeah, that's what the flow aid does. It pulls it in to create those areas of shadow. You can see it clinging down the crease in the middle. Okay, and that's all it is to making terrain washes. Okay, now this is obviously a dark one because I wanted a dark one for my next project. Yeah, and making other terrain washes, yeah, it's quite simple. You just mix them up in exactly the same sort of methodology. Now, this is one I made earlier, and you can see how it's separated. You see how it's lighter at the top and darker at the bottom? Yeah, and if I mix it back up, it goes back to black. Yeah, and this is actually a lot darker than this one. Now what I wanted to very quickly do is show you what happens if you shake it. Now remember, it's got detergent in. So, yeah, if we shake it, come on, I don't want to throw this everywhere. It goes really bubbly. And then the problems you have is when it comes to actually applying this stuff, it don't run. Yeah, because the bubbles hold everything in place. You can see how that's a much darker one than the other one. Yeah, now that isn't running because of the bubbles, but you can see the difference in the shades in those. Okay, but there you are. That's how to do it. That's really, it really is that simple. Yeah, the key things to remember are judge it by how it looks at the side. Yeah, when you're mixing it up before you add your flow aid. Yeah, if you add your flow aid too early, then the problem is it runs too quickly off the side and you can't judge it properly. So when you're trying to judge the diluteness, yeah, use the side and look how translucent it is. Okay, add your flow aid, keep it, keep your flow aid sort of, 1-2 drops maximum. What you can do is if you add too much flow aid, you make the water sort of so slippy it actually runs completely away from any raised areas and you end up with clear areas around it. Okay, which is obviously not what you want. But there you are, guys. That's how to make how to make terrain washes. Hope you found it interesting as always, guys. Stick with me. We've got lots of snowy stuff coming up and a whole new project coming up next month. Well, this month now. All the best, guys. See you soon. Ta-da.